For this video guys, we're going to be going over why the Greatswords of Radahn from the DLC are a huge disappointment. First, we're going to be going over movesets, range, and then Ashes of War. We're going to be going over the base game variant as well as the DLC variants. Comparing the base game swords to the DLC swords, there's a couple similarities and a couple differences. The only things they have in common is the range and the moveset. Even though the DLC variants look a little bit longer and more slender, they actually don't have more range on them than the original. All three swords have the same intelligence requirement, although the strength and dex is different as well as the scaling for both of those two stats. The base game version has higher strength scaling as well as a higher strength requirement, and it weighs 20. DLC versions have a slightly less strength requirement but a higher dex requirement as well as slightly higher dex scaling. With all of that said, that basically means all three of these are evenly matched aside from the Ashes of War. Before we get to the Ashes of War guys, let's talk about the most important thing, which is the movesets. I think the biggest issue with the Radahn Greatswords guys is they don't fit into the moveset that they belong to. I think the reason they don't properly integrate into their moveset is because they have a curved tip, unlike the rest of the Colossal Swords that have a straight one. Like, there's a reason people choose the Greatsword over the Watchdog Greatsword, because it has higher base damage, and even though the Watchdog Greatsword has better strength scaling, its moveset is far inferior as well as being shorter range. The main drawback to them being paired Colossal Swords is the fact that they don't do as much damage as somebody two-handing a single Colossal Sword. They do less posture damage, as well as you have less hyper armor during your animations. Anyone that frequently uses large weapons understands how big of a deal this is. Let's start with Lightspeed Slash for the Ashes of War guys. This was supposed to have been buffed on July 30th, and maybe it did, but in all honesty it doesn't really feel like it. Because to begin with guys, the only part of the skill that ever hits anyways is just the initial dash. The lasers that follow up, they have horrible tracking, they barely do any damage, and even after the buff, they still do almost nothing. When we compare Lightspeed Slash to Promised Consort guys in the Lord variant, there's really no competition. Promised Consort blows it away, but even then guys, Promised Consort is not a top tier Ash of War. It's a combo Ash of War with an initial attack and options for 2 additional inputs. Ashes like these are good for staggering, but the drawback is that you're stuck in animations for an extended period of time, leaving yourself wide open to moves. Even though Promised Consort with both inputs, if they all hit, can actually do a lot of damage, when you compare something like this to like the Blasphemous Blade or Ashes of War that do massive single slap of damage at a ranged, it's really not much of a comparison. So to summarize the swords as they stand now, so we have pretty average base damage, not very good scaling, really bad moveset, one of the shortest ranges in the entire weapon class, the inability to two-hand it, can only be power stance or one-handed, has the inferior Colossal Sword moveset, and you have to put stats into intelligence to use it. One thing to also bear in mind, because these have such short range, if you were to power stance other Colossal Swords, they would have more range and perform better than these. The reason I think it's wasted potential is because they basically just took the base game swords, reskinned them, and gave them a different Ash of War. I think what they should have done is just given it a unique moveset for Colossal Swords. Hell, they could have even called them paired curved Greatswords for all I care. I think they just needed a different moveset to make it unique. They could have just made it a little reminiscent of a couple of Radahn's moves. It wouldn't have to be overpowered, kinda like how the Ring Knight Greatswords were back in Dark Souls 3. Now I'm going to show a couple different Radahn combos that I think they could have used for this weapon's moveset. I don't think this is too much to ask for, because I mean movesets can be timed and changed to make sure that they're balanced. I don't think there'd be any issues like there was with the Fire Knight Greatsword where it's like they were held in a stagger for longer than they should be, because that's obviously game breaking in terms of multiplayer PvP, but the biggest drawback again for these swords is really just the moveset among all the other things. I think the combo of everything together does make them probably one of the worst Colossal Swords in the class. As things stand right now, I think if they were to actually have fused both of these great swords, Lord and Light, together, and just made it into a stance, I don't even think that would be overpowered, simply because Lightspeed Slash is really that pathetic. The quick attack does a little bit of damage, but again the light follow-up attack does nothing. Even after the patch, it's pathetic. I even think if they were to do all the above, let's say they changed its moveset to exactly what I wanted, and they fused the two swords and gave it both of the Ashes of War in a stance, I still don't think it would be a meta weapon. I think obviously that would put it way higher up on the food chain, but its place would still be the same. You're going to be the bane of the existence of anybody that's using low poise damaging weapons, but at the same time, anybody that you're fighting using a colossal sword, or any colossal weapon for that matter, is going to have an advantage over you, because again, they can still two-hand it, do more poise damage, and have more hyper armor than you will. There's even this part of me that wishes they just got rid of the light variant entirely and put like 2 spells of Mikola. The first could be the Divine Light, and maybe the second would be that Orbital Bombardment. I have no idea. I just know that for sure the light variant is worthless, the Lord variant is usable, and it's fun to use, right? Because the Ash of War is really cool, but I think that's just because of the Ash of War itself, because again the moveset's ass, so. The rest of the video, guys, is just going to be playing clips of me with the Greatswords of Radahn in PvP. I tested them out extensively. You're not going to see a whole lot of light variant in it, but let me know in the comments if you guys have any weapons of your own that you wish they would adjust. Movesets, Ashes of War, anything similar to that. But thank you guys for watching, especially if you made it this far. Hopefully I'll catch you in the next one. Like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Share to your friends if you learned something new, or if you agree with me as well. But again, thank you guys so much for watching.